if you have decided to do something for the country, it is 78 days or 7.8 days. Get it done. There are thousands waiting for you to complete the task so that they can benefit. There are millions of patients waiting to feel comfortable, and there are hundreds and thousands of families to be fed by the benefits of the work.
So, the much awaited thing and the reason that we all are here, the book reveal of Made in Lockdown. So, a big round of applause while we do this.
And if you go through the book, because I had to literally, when I was reading this, I read it once and then I knew that I have to talk a little bit about it, so I read it twice. But while I was reading it twice, I realized I have to read it thrice and also the fourth time. The reason was that a couple of these things are so unbelievable. So the book is divided into 8 chapters, with very catchy headings, and at the same time, every topic is, I would say, a small management training. And Dr. Sharma, you write that despite a booming pharmaceutical industry serving nearly the entire globe with affordable medicines, India has remained import dependent to the extent of over 80% in medical devices, with over 95% in advanced technological segments such as MRIs and CT scanners. And then you also say that it would not be an exaggeration to say that the medical device sector remained the neglected orphan sector of the Indian healthcare ecosystem over the decades. This is page 13. So what do you think would have led to this? Where did India go wrong in the last 15 years?
It's not last 15 years. It is last 40 years. Because core medical technology development and deployment started in 1980s, late 1780s, where Massachusetts Institute of Technology and many others in the world started to build dialysis machine, heart lung machines, pacemakers, and so on. Now, what we could have done in these 40 years that we did not do? What we could have done better? I think number one, India never had a department of medical technology. Never. It's only in 2015 or so that Department of Pharmaceuticals was given the added responsibility of medical devices. The second thing that didn't happen, which should have happened, was faster introduction of regulation. Now, I see Mr. K.L. Sharma here. He was when Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Under his leadership, we had the medical devices rules that came up at that time, which is a commendable task, but we were only 30 years late. We needed those rules in 1990s when the economy was opened up, right? We did not have a governance regulatory structure for medical devices, which was the second missing link. The third missing link, which is also documented in book, in the book, was critical infrastructure. We did not have enough testing labs. We did not have enough molding centers. We did not have enough biomaterial characterization centers, which is never done by an industry anywhere in the world. It's done by a non-industry body or a government such that many industries use this infrastructure together. And the fourth thing and the last thing that perhaps we should have done, particularly as you mentioned MRI, and this is a live example. Thankfully, this is not the book of a vision which we think we should achieve. This is a book of a factual story that we have already achieved. And therefore, it is not a dream. It is a reality which we have built. The fourth thing which did not happen is that large, high-cost components that are used in medical technology. Now, you take an example of MRI. Nobody in Southeast Asia makes a superconducting magnet for an MRI. No one. When nobody makes a magnet for an MRI, each magnet weighs about 10 tons. You are forcing your country to import it. Now, when you start making that magnet, what happens? AMTZ started the R&D and production center for MRI superconducting magnet of 1.5 Tesla each. We commenced that facility. Today, we have 2 MRI manufacturers in the zone. Why did the 2 MRI manufacturers, Times Medical and Sequoia, came from outside India to set up MRI manufacturing in the zone? Because they got superconducting magnet in the zone. I think Absence of a department, absence of regulatory framework, absence of common scientific infrastructure, and absence of core critical high cost components is what didn't happen for last 40 years, because of which our industry did not move forward. Thankfully, with support of everyone, we have been able to put forward that infrastructure. Almost 18 different kinds of facilities that I have documented in the book required for medical devices. If there is one place globally where all of them exist, it is at AMTZ. And that is true service to industry, is what I believe.
Stanford School of Design and All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and I go there once in a year to interact with the students. And one thing which Dr. Jitendra Sharma, I always say that they are overwhelming association with just creating patents, and their inability to understand that these patents, if they don't see the light of the day, and if it is not making the life of a poor man better, it's not worth it. So Kalam Institute of Health Technology was an answer to this issue. So what was the idea when you were conceiving it, and where is it today?
But the fact is, our academic culture is not very industry friendly. It has, so if you look at many of the innovations globally, a large number of those innovations come from universities. In our country, universities produce knowledge, patent, publish. The industry has its own in-house R&D team that works on product development. Now, this is somewhere has to be merged, and that's the role Kalam Institute is playing. The second component is technology transfer. We keep hearing this name, but technology transfer leads to a lot of financial and legal technicalities, which neither universities are ready to handle or are able to handle, nor are the industry getting a fair chance to buy these technologies from industry at a fair price. And therefore, we created this e-auction portal, which is running very well, particularly for startups who are able to sell their technology, to ensure that what is the knowledge and the prototypes that are generated in industry is easily transferred to industry through the e-auction portal. But let me tell you that that night, I had a sudden call from Geneva to attend a WHO meeting. I took a flight which was at 1:30 in the night, and I was really not getting any sleep. I had a colleague sitting next to me, and when I discussed all this, I realized that as much as we can put this in the minutes of the meeting, these minutes of the meeting are left to people to adhere to or not to adhere to. This needs an institution. So as I have written in the book, I borrowed some paper napkins from the cabin crew, and I started documenting the departments we will build. When I came back from Geneva, it was Diwali evening. There was pujas going on in every home, including at my home. I used to be in Delhi at that time. And my family members were waiting to start Diwali puja, and I was busy completing the document. It was on a Diwali eve that the complete architecture of Kalam Institute of Health Technology that was completed. Next day morning, I presented it to ministry. The ministry did not take it up at that time as progressively as I would have liked. In fact, when I proposed it to be named after Dr. Kalam, I actually got a very cold response, surprisingly, that the names can be decided later. And I wouldn't name those individuals, but then I thought that if an institution of this kind has to be set up, it has to be in the name of Dr. Kalam. And whether we get a good response or not, we must do what we should do. And therefore, when I moved back to Andhra Pradesh to set up AMTZ, I proposed Kalam Institute to Professor Vijay Raghavan, who was at that time in the meeting when I had discussed this. Professor Vijay Raghavan was very kind enough to process the project, sanction the funds, initial funds of 2 crores. The government of Andhra Pradesh, at that time, the secretary of the concerned department was Dr. Poonamji, who is here today. We took the permission of the government, set up the institutions. We set up the institution, we created the governing body. We used the good offices of Dr. Vijay Raghavan and Dr. Renu Sarup to actually get the project funding. Had industry for the first time, Mr. Rajiv Nath on the board of the governing body of Kalam Institute, and began the institute.
Very well said. And there's also a great mention that sometimes it's about discovering an idea, and sometimes it's about discovering a man. And this is where you write that the meeting ended, and especially with your, I would say, mentor, Professor Vijay Raghavan. The outcome of today's meeting is discovering this man. Then, and while I was reading this, I thought I could not believe it at the end when I read this paragraph. Uh, on one side, the AMTZ was being set up at a place where that was unused, thinly spread forest area. The area didn't even have a pin code up till that time. And what happened finally, for all of you to know, finally the date of 13th December 2018 arrived. Thousands of cars and buses brought state and central government guest speakers, delegates, and UN officials into the medtech city built in just 342 days to participate in global gathering being hosted in a convention center unimaginable that was built in just 78 days. So first of all, I think he deserves a round of applause. So is this where we decode Dr. Sharma you?
All I would say is, if there is one thing that the crowd should take away, or the decoding of this project, is that if you have decided to do something for the country, it is 78 days or 7.8 days. Get it done. There are thousands waiting for you to complete the task so that they can benefit. There are millions of patients waiting to feel comfortable. And there are hundreds and thousands of families to be fed by the benefits of the work. So what we simply did is that we took the drawings, foundations, footings, which were already done, of two 45,000 square feet layouts, converted a convention center out of it in 78 days. Of course, all those 78 days, our meetings used to be held on the sand or the concrete or the cement which was lying there. At one place, I have written carrying heart attack tablets in my bag, in my coat pocket. That's true, by the way. My food used to come in the night at site, where we would have with the construction workers, and the air conditioning and all that was a huge affair. In fact, we were working madly at such a pace that, you know, on the 12th, on the 10th December night, the 13th December, the inauguration was done. WHO Global Forum was held. This Global Forum, by the way, is the nature of same forum where me and Rajiv Nath ji met. And here is a GICC, huge Geneva Convention Center overlooking the United Nations. And we thought, if India is hosting, we must build something historic. And on the 12th December night, we realized that we were working at such a pace that while closing the walls, while building the convention center, a scissor lift had, by accident, because it was being used inside, had been left inside. Now the walls have been made. We did not know how to take out that scissor lift crane, because people will be sitting there. And the scissor lift crane was trapped. We had to literally unscrew the crane to take it out in the parts. That's the pace at which we were working. That is the spirit of doing something. When you have decided you are not doing it for yourself, you are not doing it for your family, you are doing it for the country, where patients are looking forward to having such an infrastructure, because it will produce products that will change the lives of people.
Very well, sir. Very well, sir.
For more updates, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon.